So I feel like my Lake Tanganyikans just don't get any love in this hobby. So today I want to talk about why I love keeping Lake Tanganyikan fish. So let's go. First off, they are so unique. Lake Tanganyikan cichlids are known for having just unique body shapes. They look so different than any other fish. They have lots of unique behaviors, and they're not as large and boisterous as maybe the Lake Malawi cichlids or the South American cichlids or other fish that you can find, but their behaviors are just absolutely fascinating. One of the things that I've found is that they just almost have an intelligence about them. They're not like little puppy dogs wagging their tails at the front of the glass, but they have just this subtle intelligence where you can tell they live in these communities, they have these complex structures of their groups that they live in. For example, my multifasciatus, the shell dwellers, just watching them interact with each other, watching them spit dirt in each other's holes. There's just almost this strange human-like intelligence, almost like they have a language and a community that they live together in little families. They have sort of like agreements. I won't eat your babies if you won't eat mine. And for other fish, that stuff just doesn't exist. They're just animalistic and they just destroy each other. If you've ever kept Lake Malawi cichlids and watched the mbuna just tear each other to pieces, it is just the saddest thing ever when you find your fish not only dead but just ripped to shreds. And Lake Tanganyikans that I've kept anyway, they don't tend to do that. I'm not saying that they're not aggressive. They're certainly territorial and they have their areas of aggression, but they don't kill each other and tear each other to shreds. So there's just this strange intelligence that they have. And I've told this story before, but I've only ever had one of my shell dweller cichlids die, and I'm not even sure what it was. It really could have been old age because there wasn't any other deaths associated with it. But they picked up the body of the fish, they had a hole, and they put it in that hole almost to just set it aside. It almost felt strangely like a burial. Really weird, but also really cool to see. And I was sad to have lost that fish, but also just fascinated by how they treated it. The other cool thing about Tanganyikan fish is that they're worth the wait. Now, when I say that, I'm also bringing up one of the downsides to Tanganyikans, which is that they take forever to grow. I mean, I have some fish that I swear have not grown at all since the day I got them, and I've had them for like 2 years. And they just take forever to color up and to come into their own. And this is one of the reasons why they're less popular, is because it's hard to sell that in the fish store when you're wanting to sell color. It's hard to breed that for profit when you gotta wait 2 years to sell a fish, and then when you finally sell that fish, people won't buy it at the price that it's worth to keep it for 2 years. But if you like these fish and you're willing to wait, the patience where it pays off. In the end, when you finally get to see that fish that you've had for 2 years just flare up and show you all of its colors, it is so rewarding. And we are so, as a culture, we're just so instant gratification. We want it now. And so I can buy a Lake Malawi peacock and just have awesome colors today. And I can have a whole tank of awesome colors. But you buy some Lake Tanganyikans, well, you're gonna have to wait a little while. But when they do flare up, you're just like, whoa, that was worth the wait. And it feels so much more gratifying because you did it. You put in the effort. You raised this fish, you kept it alive, and you gave it a home, and you gave it an environment where it felt safe enough to flare up. A lot of them, their colors only come out when they're breeding, and so that's also maybe a downside, is that you have to get them in a breeding environment to be able to see what they can really do. But when you do see it, it's totally worth it. Kind of maybe the difference between like a dog person and a cat person. I mean, not that cats are crazy colorful or something, but you know, the instant gratification, kind of the South American cichlid type of feel versus the gotta be patient, gotta wait, and maybe this will pay off later, or maybe it'll just tear up your furniture and stink up your basement. I'm looking at you, cat, wherever you are. Another thing that goes along with kind of their intelligence and their community behavior is their breeding activity. It's so cool how a lot of Tanganyikan cichlids can actually breed in community tanks. I have a lot of the fish that are in this 210-gallon tank behind me. They used to be together in a 60-gallon tank, and I had a lot fewer of them. And what was really cool is I put a bunch of daffodil cichlids, Juliochromis, and Lelupi in Neolamprologus lelupi, I don't know, together in a 60-gallon tank, 4-foot tank, and all 3 of them managed to breed and raise babies. Now, probably not as many as they could have in a species-only solo tank, but they all managed to breed and make more offspring, and the result was that I got more fish that I didn't have to buy. I got a whole bunch of free fish. They probably picked off a few of the babies, but for the most part, that was awesome to me. It's like I can put these fish in a tank and they can breed, and they don't eat their young. A lot of them don't, so you can breed them just by themselves. And like I said, it takes a while for them to grow, but you can really just get that gratification of knowing that you built your community and you're enjoying it. Another great thing about keeping these fish is that I find that because they're not big fish, they don't produce as much waste. So I don't tend to have to do as much to keep up their tanks. Most of the fish that are from Lake Tanganyikan are a little on the smaller side. Now, that being said, I can't remember the name of it, but the largest cichlid in the world actually lives in Lake Tanganyikan, but it's too big for anybody to keep in a fish tank. So don't do that. But most of the fish that we keep in the aquarium hobby are on the smaller side, and they don't have the big poops of the South American fish and the Lake Malawi cichlids. They just don't produce as much waste, and you can keep more of them all together in a community tank. That probably depends on your setup and how big of a tank you have, but I find that I just don't have to clean the tanks as much. They don't have as much algae. They tend to stay cleaner, and to me that's awesome. Less work, beautiful fish. Let's do it. I hope you found that helpful, and I hope you all run out right now and buy some Lake Tanganyikan cichlids. I know you're gonna love them. Let me know if you've kept these fish and tell me what your experience was. I'd love to hear from you, but thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Fish List out.